Third week of the binge. Here we go, getting right into about a minute per movie. Got 5 of them. Let's start on a low note this time and talk a bit about Batman v Superman. Did a review for it, and I could talk about this movie for hours on end because there's just so much to it. I mean, all the anticipation leading up to this movie, but I got a lot of my main points out in the review. So review. Other than what I say there, I admire a lot that they wanted to do something different. I mean, with Deadpool, I was all like, it's different. But I mean, you can shit on a canvas and call it art, but that doesn't mean it's worth anything. I feel like the execution in Batman v Superman was so poor, and there are such blatant problems with that movie that I still can't give it anything more than a 4 out of 10. I watched Kurosawa's Rashomon, this movie, and it was pretty good. Not like the biggest Kurosawa fan. I've only seen a couple of his films, and I liked this one more than Seven Samurai because it had more ideas, I think, and Seven Samurai was fine. But the big thing here with this one is it feels like the best movie ever shot in somebody's backyard. And I understand, that it's an older movie, and back then the standards were lower, all of that jazz. It's a really good idea in that looking at the subjectivity of truth, I thought that was all really great, but I feel like it could have been done better. It's really low scale. I would love to see a film inspired by this one. So, good movie, but not changing the game for me. Man, we're doing pretty good on time here. Watched Spring Breakers, which caught my interest because of the extreme diversity in opinions that people have had on this movie. I mean, just looking at like the IMDb ratings range, we've got 10 out of 10s, we've got 1 out of 10s, and everything in between has like a significant group campaigning for this movie deserves this rating out of 10. So I thought I'd check it out, and honestly, I think this is a good movie. It's got its flaws for sure, and I totally understand the hate that it gets and the indifference that it gets, but really stylish movie, gotta be honest. And for better or worse, it definitely has like a music video feeling to it. Like the whole thing is one long music video. And there were portions of it where I was like, okay, this is like awful repetitive. Like what's the point? What's going on? But at the same time, you're always able to appreciate the way it looks. It's not something that necessarily would have been easy to pull off. There's a lot of artistic value just to the way it's shot. And I especially love how it's choreographed in a way where you're not really able to like grasp one moment. And I really dug it. James Franco, by far one of his best, if not his best performance. Plus, I mean, like best use of a Britney Spears song for any occasion ever. It has its flaws for sure. It's a little excessive. There are certain portions where even if you can attribute some kind of meaning to it, they were probably just like, okay, we're gonna just shoot this and it's gonna look really cool. But it had strong follow through. James Franco, as soon as he's introduced, the movie definitely improves. I understand people coming from this negative viewpoint, but I'm definitely leaning positive on Spring Breakers. Next movie I watched, got 2 more. I watched, I want to say 97's Contact, Jodie Foster, and let me just say that this movie is not exceptional. It's fine, it's Robert Zemeckis, so the guy knows what he's doing. Jodie Foster is functional, Matthew McConaughey is cool, but this movie, it's very by the books, very cliche. It's very much a movie. I'm going to do some brief spoilers here, so avoid the spoilers. We'll keep the yellow border around while I talk about this briefly. It's just quick. I mean, there's a point where Jodie Foster's dad dies, and at this point, I burst into laughter because I called it. I saw it coming from a mile away. And that's the kind of movie this is, where if you've seen maybe a few movies, you know where this is going. And maybe it was considered a little ambitious at the time, what they do with the ending. But, I mean, for coming in 2016, I'm a little disappointed. Like, I wanted to see, like, some kind of bug-eyed creatures. But we have saved the movie I enjoyed the most for last in Scarface, which, okay, went into this movie with very flawed expectations. One, I'm not a fan of Brian De Palma. I mean, he's very much a style over substance director, which I don't always appreciate. Not a fan of The Untouchables. Mission Impossible has its moments, but, I mean, overall, not super impressed. I expected, like, discount Goodfellas here. So it's some pretty hard action. Al Pacino just, going bang, bang. They say hello to my little friend the entire movie. And what I didn't expect was for Al Pacino just to be, like, the biggest nerd in this movie. And it's so great. Like, half of the film is about his inability to pick up women, which is amazing. Where movies like Taxi Driver just take, like, a broken man and, like, his inability to relate to other people, and it's really tragic and I mean even moving. Here it's just hilarious. Like, if I'm choosing my movie poker buddies, like we got Walter Sobchak, Samuel L. Jackson from any Samuel L. Jackson role ever, and Scarface. And even if I'm losing $50 every Friday night, just the entertainment value of a conversation between these guys, and just to be able to hear the Al Pacino complain about anything, it's worth it. And really, Al Pacino's character transcends what is not the greatest of movies. The soundtrack definitely dates this movie, and there's one point in particular where, if you're familiar with the movie, you know what I'm talking about. This beat kicks in, and I'm like, is this what I think it is? Are they going there? Yes! It's a montage! Push it to the limit. I mean, 80s music, and something about that just does not jive with the gangster genre. Of course, it's visually on point. That's what I was saying with Brian De Palma. He's he knows what he's doing with the camera. And sometimes it's a little too deliberate, but this movie was really smart as far as the camera goes. And just to get this out there, this is easily the best Brian De Palma movie I've seen. And this movie certainly avoids a big issue that I had with The Untouchables, and where I felt it couldn't shift gears between being kind of like this fun, upbeat, R-rated movie for 12-year-olds and actually, like, being hard. And I think Pacino's portrayal of this character really helped to sell that, and they effectively merged into that, where this movie could definitely have its fun, cheeky Hollywood moments, but when it wanted to, have some kind of tension in a scene, it was there. And that's all in the performance, with some smart camera work and a decent script. A lot of the other performances are just kind of okay. I mean, there's a lot of side stories that are just whatever. They spend all this time making Pacino kind of like a human character, but at the same time, those scenes are like, okay, what are we doing here? Al Pacino makes it, and without him, this wouldn't be in IMDb's top 250. This wouldn't be one of those movies that people are still talking about in 2016. But that's log number 3. Don't know if there's going to be another one next week, just because I am as busy as can be. But more content is on the way, I assure you. Comments. Am I as ignorant as can be? Let me know. Thoughts on whatever I discussed, these movies. But for now, I'm afraid this is